What's up guys, and welcome back to another Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon speculation video. And today we are going to be talking about possible Alolan Forms that we could see be added in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So that's one of the options we had, I think, discussed the other day. Either, we're going to get more Alolan Forms or we're going to get more Mega Evolutions. We could even get both. But it's possible they could add some more extra Alolan Forms in, because we only had like 4 or 5 lines, or maybe 6 eventually, in Sun and Moon, which isn't a huge amount. It's enough, I suppose, to introduce the mechanic, but then, similar how back in X and Y we got Megas, that's pretty cool, and then Auras expanded on that, you'd expect a similar thing here with Alolan Forms. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look through possible Alolan Forms, not any specifics in terms of like typing or anything like that, but looking at lines that could possibly get Alolan Forms, and what I mean by this are the most likely ones. So obviously all the Alolan Forms in Sun and Moon were from Kanto, so it would only make sense for them to extend that and have all the ones from, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon to be from Johto. Of course, they could carry on doing Kanto, but Kanto is pretty sort of slim now on evolution lines that haven't already got a Mega or an Alolan Form type, or just can't be really used for that instance. And we've had enough of Kanto, please Game Freak, we've just had too much. So Johto would be the next step. Obviously they could spread across all generations, which is one possibility, but I feel like Johto is the one they'd focus on, if that. So then, extending that now further, we have Generation 2 and Johto. We could, you could speculate or, spitball that, okay, we have existing Alolan Pokédexes. They have said we're going to see some more Pokemon, some that weren't there before. This could either mean extra, Alolan Forms, as we're talking about now, or it could mean extra Pokemon just added to the dex in general. If you do that, you actually have to, almost swap them, because the dex is pretty bulky already. You don't want it to get too huge. You want a similar, number of Pokemon, especially because this is a dex that now you need to complete to get the shiny charm and whatnot. So you'd imagine they want to keep it a similar size. So what I'm doing here is I've extracted all the Johto Pokemon from the current Alolan dex, and then we're going to look through these. So these are possible Pokemon that are already in the dex that could just have forms added to them. So in terms of which way they'd go, whether Game Freak would add forms to existing Alolan Pokemon, or whether they would say, okay, here's some new Pokemon that didn't appear in Alola in the first place, so we're now going to give them forms because they've appeared in Alola. That's one possibility, but we're looking at the taking existing Alolan Pokemon and adding forms to them, if that makes so much sense. So here are all of the Pokemon, all the Johto Pokemon, or all the Generation 2 Pokemon I should say, in the Alolan dex. You can see all of them here. There's a good selection here, so we're going to trim these down and have a look at what is left, basically. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to wipe out any Mega Evolutions, because it's very unlikely that a line that has a Mega Evolution in it gets an Alolan Form, because that means you have to have an Alolan Form for the Mega as well, unless they just sort of retcon it and say, oh no, they Mega Evolve into the same Pokemon, or, this Pokemon, the Alolan Form can't Mega Evolve because we're just dumb, sort of thing. But we're going to wipe out, and the only one here is Scizor. Of course, it's unlikely to get one anyway, because it's not part of a full line. And I believe that's what we're going to knock out next. So any Pokemon that evolve from Pokemon that aren't in a generation. So any Pokemon that evolve from Generation 1 Pokemon. Because if we're looking to really focus on Johto, you want the line to be from Johto. You don't want, for example, here we have obviously Politoed. You don't want to give Politoed, well, you could give Politoed a Alolan Form, actually, thinking about it, because of course we have the sort of the end evolutions, similar like Marowak, for example. But here purely I'm looking at full line evolutions for this part of the video. At least we can always go back and have a look at stuff like Politoed, because they are possibilities. But looking at full line, we knock out anything that the full line isn't in Johto, because they are half the line is in Kanto. And then similarly we also knock out any lines that aren't fully in Johto as well. So for example, Murkrow and Misdreavus here are gone, as well as Sudowoodo, because they either have evolutions or pre-evolutions that are in a future generation. So you can see the majority of Pokemon here are wiped out. This leaves us with, in Pokedex order if I can remember it, Ariados and Spinarak, or Ladybird and Lady Ariados and Spinarak, Lantern and Chingling, Lantern and no, not Chimecho, I can't remember its name now, I've completely forgotten it. Anyway, you guys get the idea. Lantern there, Smeargle, Miltank, Snubbull and Gramble, Delibird and Corsola, as well as Skarmory. So these are possible full lines in the Johto Pokédex that could get Alolan Forms. Of course, then narrowing it down even further, just talking about them, Skarmory I can definitely see getting an Alolan Form. It'll be obviously on its own, but I can still see it getting something there. Ariados and Spinarak, as well as Ladybird and Lady N, are fair enough choices. You could definitely bug it up there and give them some forms there. Same sort of thing applies for Lantern, and the one I can't remember the name of now. You could definitely give it some form of Alolan Form there. Going further down there, of course, Snubbull and Gramble, I could definitely see a form for these guys. You could definitely spice them up a bit because they are sort of big players in Alola, I suppose. You see Gramble, you don't actually see Snubbull in the wild, I don't think, so you could mix it around, have an Alolan Snubbull pop a bit earlier in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. But then the other lines, of course, we go down, we have Corsola. I'm on the fence about Corsola. Obviously, it's just on its own, it's not a very interesting Pokemon. The one thing that does lean me towards the Alolan form, though, is its interaction with Marini and Toxapex, because we have Pokédex entries and whatnot say that they hunt Corsola, so you could introduce an Alolan form for Corsola either to combat that, and saying it's evolved to be able to deal with Marini and Toxapex. That's one possibility. Or you could just have it be a different sort of Corsola, but then on the other hand, if you change it around, that sort of messes with the lore of it anyway, so I'm 50-50 on that. Delibird I cannot see get an Alolan form at all. Like, it's based on Santa and stuff like that. If you change it, you have to keep a similar sort of theme, which just doesn't really fit with a type change, for example, so I just can't see that happening. Smeargle, similarly, I can't really see what you're going to do to it. It's a painting Pokemon. You could change it and have it be like a pen, I suppose. It'd be a bit of a cheesy change. I wouldn't like to see it, but I suppose it's possible still. And then Miltank, again, I can't really see it happening too much. It's a cow. There's not much you can change about it, in my opinion. If you guys have any ideas, though, on that, let me know down below. But if we light all the Pokemon up again, though, and we can have a look at some of the other ones we grayed out earlier. So, of course, we talked about Politoed. We also have Slowking at the bottom right here. Definitely candidates to get sort of individual Alolan forms. The only issue with that, though, of course, with Slowking at least, is of course you have Mega Slowbro, so you'd have one half of the line is Mega, one half of the line has got an Alolan form. I guess that would be an interesting way for them to do it. But I can't see this happening, but it could definitely happen still, because it's Game Freak and they always follow the script. Politoed also, again, it is a split evolution, so you have Poliwrath, so you'd almost have to give Poliwrath an Alolan form too, in some aspects. But again, just another possibility. And then looking at the ones we read out, of course, Sudowoodo is really the only other one to look at, because of course Bombfly is Generation 4, so you could definitely have an Alolan Sudowoodo. In terms of, again, what it would be, it imitates stuff, it imitates trees, so you could definitely have it imitating a different type of tree in the Alola region, maybe a palm tree or something like that, or you could have it imitate something completely different and maybe give Bonsly an Alolan form too. There's another possibility there. And I think the only other evolution wise, for an end evolution from those Pokemon, is actually Blissey. But I guess Alolan form Blissey would work pretty well. Yes, nothing against that. That would work pretty decently. Mega obviously not, but Alolan form, I guess you could change it up for Blissey somehow. I don't know how you do it, because it's pretty standard how it is. You'd also have to give, maybe you have to give Chansey 1 too, and maybe even Happiny, because it's a full line. They're a package deal to get together. They're based on eggs. So unless you did the whole line, I don't see exactly how you would mix that up. But I think that's all the ones that were already grayed out. Of course, the beginnings or the middles of lines in Porygon's 2 case won't work, and Porygon obviously shouldn't get an Alolan form anyway, because it is just computer code and whatnot, so it can't really adapt to its environment, really. Anyway, but yes, in terms of that, other Pokemon just to touch on quickly, we have Sneasel, possibly getting one. You'd have to give one to Weavile too, obviously. Espeon and Umbreon are just a straight up no, not going to happen. I believe that's all the Pokemon there. Murkrow, Misdreavus, obviously you could do something with them. Again, you have to do it to the Pokemon, to their evolutions, Honchkrow and Mismagius, so I can't see happening too much there. But those are sort of the general possibilities for Alolan forms from Johto Pokemon in the Alolan Dex. Of course, as I mentioned, they could bring in Johto Pokemon that aren't in the Dex and give those forms as a fresh sort of intake into the region. It's another possibility, so maybe I'll do a video in the future looking at the other half of Johto Pokemon that aren't in the deck currently and see how they could change around. One possibility there. But I'm also going to start looking at Mega Evolutions too and seeing if they are going to do Alola forms and Mega Evolutions, or maybe just Mega Evolutions on their own. They could definitely build some stuff into the current Alolan Dex as well. But let me know down below in the comment section what Pokemon, if Alolan forms are coming back, what Johto Pokemon or any other Pokemon really can you see getting an Alolan form, and what would you like to see from them. But this is going to be for today, so I shall see you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.